What up, LC heads? We are getting some more of these part 2 tickets, so yeah, it's about time to really start grinding away at these events. I actually need to double check the progress on these characters, see how many shards I need to collect for them, just kind of where they're at, right? I probably even need to cycle back to Joker. Yeah, we're going to have to see where he's at. Right, obviously though, I've just been busy. On top of that, I have been spending some time over in Diablo, just leveling up, right? And been a great game to play so far. So we are back here though. Have not forgotten about these characters. So it seems like our 10 pull did not yield us anything. Oh no. It's okay. We already have the characters, and we did clear the collab. We got the arcs as well. I wanted the arcs more than especially the part 2 characters. But of course, the arcs were the very last thing I could get. Right, I had to pity one, and the other one, thank goodness, I just managed to pull it. So, whatever. We got there in the end. Oh, there's all the reds we've been missing. Okay, right. We threw them all on the front pull. So let's see how our units are doing so far. All right. First, level 73 Joker. He is 75 out of 77 SC, and he's out. Okay, at least I have most of his ability tree unlocked, right? 107 out of 108. So yeah, probably gonna have to grind some more shards out for him. How's the cat doing? Kind of hoping we have... Yeah, I'm going to have to work on the cat too. Right, because remember, I want to make sure I have at least close to 200 for the wards that I want to get. And they do have decent wards. Alright, up next we have Crow, 73 SC. 100 out of 108. Yep. And we have 170 shards for him. The 2 new heroes are not fully woke though yet. I know a lot of people, they wait on the very last step of this because you're not getting that big of a gain from the hero. Right, so I do have a choice, obviously. But the no attribute damage plus 1% is pretty damn nice for all non-attribute heroes. So I'm going to want to do that. Yeah, it's looking like I'm going to need to farm more for each of these heroes. This girl, of course, 45 out of the 400 that she's going to need here. And of course the 200 here. What is it again? Yeah, sword equip, physical damage plus 1%. So that's plus 1% damage to most of the things in the damn game because we're always using swords. So this one is especially nice. Doesn't matter what element you are, as long as you have a sword in your hand, 1% more damage. So very cool. Man, she is at 58 out of 75 SC. 92 out of 108. So, yeah, like I've been saying, I've been building both of these heroes obviously together, and I've just been splitting resources between them just so I could run them and just kind of see how they're doing, right? Both of them are clearing God content now at the lab, and they are going into the Ogre run, right? And I've seen them do surprisingly well, as I would expect. Violet especially, I'm very surprised Violet could even slay the ogre, right? She's at like 1700 strength. So when Crow did it, Crow actually clears a level. When Crow does it, it's not as surprising because he's got 25-20 base strength, even where he's at now. And in the fight, he is at around 5,000 strength. So that's just what I've been seeing, right? So 5K strength hitting at, non-attribute, that damage is always going to get through. So yeah, Crow has been slaying the ogre fairly easy, just right off rip. I still haven't got a chance to play around with getting him to break stuff between his item and the ability there that's given plus 50% to break if you're backstabbing or if you're behind your opponent. And obviously I'm going to want to throw some kind of breakers on him. We'll just see what he can do. Thinking he might be able to break well for Joker to get in there and just drop all his damage. We're going to have to see. It seems to me like they kind of hinted at it though, right? I'm pretty sure his face is on the thumbnail for there, and it's like a backstabbing breaking ability, right? And one of his paid items has added 50% to break on it. So I don't know, it just seems like they were trying to do something with that there. So why not see what that's all about? Other than that, he's just doing straight up good, consistent, solid damage. Yeah, it's a little bit harder to keep him healed. I don't think it's that big of a deal if you have an actual healer, right? It's different if you are trying to heal yourself. I've been running around with Moonsaber, right? Yeah, that's not really feasible, right? But obviously, if I had to run him in a party without a healer, yeah, I probably would bring Moonsaber just in case, just so he could heal off his basic attack. Depending on how many enemies there are there, he can actually heal fairly well off of his basic attack with Moonsaber. But other than that, if there's no healer there, this guy, he's going to have a hard time, just IMO. But then again, it all depends on whatever boss or whatever content we're doing, right? If you're running him with a healer, I think it's going to be just fine. Like, a lot of times healers are over-healing anyway, right? It's not like Theria is just taking you, like, barely up to full health. No, she's a lot of times healing you for double your hit point bar, depending on which character it is. So him having that healing cut down, he's still getting healed for tons and tons of hit points, and he should be all right. He should be all right. And the damage that you get from him is pretty effing stellar. It is. It's constant. There's no crit involved, so there's not like a range to it. So I don't know. It's the only way I can describe it. I think it's pretty cool. I like their kits. One thing I did notice with him, he has to be level. He has to be level with whatever you're attacking, I think, to drop his S2. I think his S3 is a little bit better. But he's not much for diagonal damage on the screen. Like if something's above you on the screen, he's going to run up before he activates his S2. At least that's what he was doing for me. Other than that, though, it's hard to interrupt him from doing that. Right. The S1 abilities for both of these heroes, Crow and Violet, yeah, the S1, I've seen those interrupted plenty while I'm running around, but surprisingly, like the S2 and the S3 on both of these heroes, I've noticed is very hard to interrupt, right? Or they would have no chance against the ogre. And to give you guys a good example of that, what was the one collab character they gave us for free that was like built to the max? And he actually does decent damage. Here he is. Durin. Yeah, Durin, right? He's level 110, right? Even, I think, without all his gear. He's at 95 SC, yo. At 95 SC. He's got crap gear on. 95 SC. He's got 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 95 You know, he's at almost 2,000 strength here, and this guy actually has great damage boost, like damage cap boost, right? Let's see, 12,000 right there. So he's got other stuff built in. He's got Berserk, right? But he will absolutely get annihilated. He'll absolutely get annihilated at the Ogre run. Like, it doesn't matter. I've ran it for a whole day with him just because I was like, man, it's such a goddamn challenge. Because here's the thing. When you hit the birds and the Ogre, with this guy right now, he will drop their health. Like, he'll do great damage to them. You're like, oh shit, if I just line up 5 or 6 or 7 of his abilities and hit these things, they'll all die, right? But you never will. That's what made it so interesting. You never will. You might get one freaking attack off, like between those birds attacking you and spamming you. You might get like half of one attack off. It's always going to be interrupted. Like, the one time it does happen, it is satisfying. It's nice to see, like, oh yeah, Dern can do good damage. You know, he's got like damage cap increases and he can hit pretty hard. But he'll never be able to get that attack off. And that is all of them. That is like his S1 through S3, right? They're all going to get interrupted. You're not going to... I can't even remember which one is the easiest one to get off. It was like, whatever. You weren't going to be able to get any of them off. It was terrible. So that was just kind of funny with this character. Now, obviously, if you ran him in a party... and you had crowd control there, although with those birds, man, them casting all that magic, just regardless, if you can just like tie those birds up and get some crowd control for this guy, and then he can run up and just cap on everything with this crazy damage, he can do it in a party, sure. So I'm not sitting here completely dogging this character. You can run Durin in a party, but you're never going to want to run Durin as a solo character. Like, I tried... yeah, it just doesn't work. He gets interrupted so easily. So it's a big deal, right? It's going to matter in any wave fight. That's going to matter in any arena fight. That's going to matter in any boss fight. Like, how easy is your character to interrupt? Like, because once you get interrupted, whatever damage you were going to do just is null and void. You're stopped. Boom. They snap you out of it. So you literally lose that kit. It gets eaten up, right? So it's really easy to do that with Dern. Other characters vary, obviously. Some characters are just, they're going to have like a powerful S2 or S3, but it's kind of easy to interrupt, right? Everybody has their own niche. Let's see. Full Metal Alchemist, like Roy Mustang here, General Mustang, has an amazing S3. Right? And you can dodge it. You can straight up dodge it. You can negate it. So these characters that have like these overpowered abilities, like, yeah, they're going to be overpowered, but you can dodge them or something like that. The thing is, with these characters, you can't. Crow's S3, you can run out of it. But you got to already be running. And, yeah, you have to already be running like in a certain direction, and you can just barely outrun it, right? Roy Mustang, his S3, you can just dodge it. If a character's running or using an ability that lets them charge or move, Roy's Fireball will go right by them, and which is, you know, it's not the end of the world for him because he can just throw another one at the cost of MP, but it buys your opponent a moment of safety from Roy. You know what I mean? And then they can get to him. So when I did run Roy, like just for my arena team, I would start throwing that S3 as quickly as possible. You just need one of them to hit, right? So that it AoEs and does great damage to everybody. But a lot of times, like if that first one gets not interrupted, if it gets dodged, he has to go through his animation and wait, and then he can try to throw another one. By then, he's usually getting hit by something, and then he is pretty easy to kill, right? So with these characters like Crow, yeah, you can run out of his S3, but it's really hard to interrupt. I haven't really seen it. I'm sure you can, but I haven't really seen it interrupted. And it stays up for a second. He can stand in it, and it's like a little field of safety for him. He can actually start doing his basic attack while his S3 is up. I'm sure. Oh, you know what? He can also cast. He can also put an ability up while that S3 is up, or he can at least start casting. Like if you time it just right, if you're swarmed with enemies, you drop that S3 and it makes that big ball of energy, and he's kind of standing in it. Everybody around him is getting hit by it. And if you go in there and start using an ability, he will actually start, using that ability while that field is still up for just a second, and it actually buys you a huge advantage if you're trying to get around some crowd control, right? Because everybody taking damage around you, they can't hurt you, or they can't really attack you while they're taking that damage. So that is very useful. And both of these characters seem to be able to just, as far as their S2 and their S3, they can be getting attacked and swarmed, and they can get these things to go off. I've tested that plenty of times. The S1 still, that's going to get interrupted, but and not just Crow, right? Like Crow's little purple energy things are always going to come up, and you can interrupt him and hit him afterwards. And even when like Crow's falling to the ground, those purple things are still going to go up and do their thing. Right, and let's see, I think one of my favorite things about Violet, for sure, is the S2. She can get that thing off, and everybody around her is getting hit. It is a nice area. It really is. I've seen her, hit a lot of mobs together, across a big part of the screen with her S2. It goes off fast. One of these things where I've seen her completely swarmed and still be able to throw that S2, right? And she gets a little bit of feint resistance, I think, if you have her gear, right? Her S3, honestly, her S3 is not as impressive as her S2 to me, but still, it's a lot of extra good damage, and she has no problem. I don't see that getting interrupted either. It also has, I feel like her attack has a better diagonal action, diagonal range, because she doesn't have to run up and get on the same plane as her enemy in order to drop some of these abilities. Like the S2, somebody could be standing above her on the screen, she'll still tag him with it. And same thing with that S3, as long as she's within range, that thing's going to go off. So it could effectively be kind of running away from something and dropping the S2 and the S3, and they're going to be getting hit by it. That is how I managed to go through the Ogre run with Violet. And like I said, these characters can do it. A character like Durin can't. Right? And it's just kind of funny. So even though Durin has great damage. So in a level like that, it's not just all about damage. You do have to have some crowd control and some immunity to crowd control built in. And these characters definitely shine there with their S2 and their S3. That's just my opinion. And their specials are both good. One of them clearly stands out. Of course, it's Violet. Her special drops all the time. Man, it is... For me, it's almost worth overlooking counter and how it doesn't really work that well, and it's half of this girl's kit is locked behind it, right? At least she has that in her pocket. Her S4, her special is going to charge all the time, and you're going to constantly be able to throw that. And if you have special boost 1, special boost 2, special boost 3, you're always going to be cranking great damage out of that, and it's always going to be charging very quick. Right? So, yeah, that has grown on me a little bit. That and her S2. Right? and here and there you are going to see her counter and do some, decent damage. She's going to cap with her counters, but it's going to be 20,000 or something like that. I don't know. Against a boss, I guess it could be more. But I didn't see really that much more. And like I said, I have the Lapis axe on her, which has given her 70% more or 75% more counter damage. Yeah, it's just the Lapis axe is also And I don't know how this works with, counter and all that, but like this girl wants to do holy damage, so she has all the holy damage rises, boosts. And the axe is not holy, so we're not getting any of those boosts. So I don't know if like half her counter damage is just not getting boosted with the holy because it's non-elemental. I don't know if that's just affecting her basic attack or if your counter damage is grouped in with that. And I would want to let her counter with something that has light element, but of course I don't have a light element axe or anything that's giving counter damage plus 70%. So it was just something I was messing around with, obviously. So it is what it is. I'm going to leave the gold crown on her for now, just to try to see if we can somehow crap out some awesome counter stuff just with, I don't know, building her a little bit more, right? But still, her S4 is fun. I did run into her in Arena, and that party actually beat me, and I was like, holy shit. Well, good for them, because like she's a new character. I actually thought she would be the weaker link in the Arena team because she's a new character. So I was like, maybe I'll target her first. And I was so busy looking at that, thinking about that, I didn't even realize that the party I was fighting had 2 healers in it. I was like, oh fuck. Oh man, yeah. Yeah, you get to the pro arena and you start to see full-blown healer teams. It's great for a team like mine that doesn't have even one healer. It's still fun. Either way. So yeah, this has been fun. Nifty characters. I'm still going to work on them. They just, they're cool. Right? A lot of my other characters are getting to the point where they're pretty strong. I just need to start getting some of the Godforge gear, really. So I'm going to continue working on these. I do like the event, though. I think it's been fun. Something a little bit different with this whole heist thing, right? And I dig it. All right, because these open bonus levels. That's right. So let's see, how many more days do we have of this? All in all, I don't know. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this event. 526 to 615 to the 15th, eh? Okay. So it is cool that they made some of these multiplayer and stuff. It would really be nice to get a guild button in there so you could get some multiplayer going with your guild. Be nice to have some kind of coin boost for that too. like if you're running the stuff in-house with your guild, maybe increase the oh, that's right, we bought a Beast Hunter here just in case. Maybe increase the golden coin drop rate, right? I don't know. Maybe the guild can bring you some luck besides the potions that we're fishing out of the tavern. Speaking of which, I got a potion today. So the guild has been nice for potions. I ain't even gonna lie, straight up. So it is what it is for now. So yeah, these, they're not bad experience. We're obviously still learning a bunch of stuff for these heroes, but honestly, I think I'm going to be using a lot of these orbs just to run. It's the same levels. They're 2 orbs to run a piece. The Path of Red Sunbeams is one of them, and you're going to get shards for Joker and Morgana. Right, and the Path of Red Peace is the other one where you're going to get shards for Violet and Crow. I think it's 5 of each of their shards. Let's see. Yeah, I think you get 5 of each every time. So in the next week, I'm pretty much going to be trying to get all the shards that I need. So it's going to be a lot of running this. Oh, that's right. There's no Beast Hunter on my friend unit here because it makes you take either Crow or a Violet with you and not somebody off your friends list. So it's just going to be this. It's going to be some slow motion. And I know there's a couple people that may have pulled one of these part 2 characters, and they're just kind of putting them on the bench because they were fishing for the arcs. They were fishing for the arcs, and hey, I don't know. Personally, let me know who you think stole the show because, and I know a lot of people are going to say Joker. He is cool. He's great damage. Morgana. I'm going to have to give it to the cat. Crow's awesome too. Honestly, overall, I'm not saying that Violet is bad, but I'm going to say that personally for me, she was a letdown because she had so much potential, yet she just falls like, I don't know, half an inch short, you know? And it was like so much potential and it fell just a little bit short. It feels like a mile because she could have been so freaking good. And that's just kind of how I feel about it. Because so much of her kit is just locked away behind this one thing that never goes off. And yeah, this has happened before. Like when the first tanks were coming out where like they have guard and they have like cool. And then they have heal guard, SCT guard, like, 40 SC abilities worth of things that only proc when guard go off. Right? And guard never goes off. Right, and that doesn't really get fixed in Last Cloudia until new heroes come out and they have abilities that increases their chance of guarding. And that shit's always been built in, to my knowledge. Right? I don't see any way to teach anybody anything off of an arc that increases your guard chance, your counter chance, any of those things. They will let us tweak evasion. They will let us tweak, dodge chance, dodge rate, right? But they're not letting us do anything with the other ones that I was just talking about. Counter, guard. I've always thought could be pretty nifty if we could do something with that. But I guess the time has just not come yet, right? And it was kind of disappointing when, like, man, I saw in the mailbox, they're like, oh, we're working on Violet. And I was like, what could it be? And of course, I wasn't going to like look into it too seriously, but it literally said that they're changing one of her paid weapons. And I was like, oh, snap. Because, that off the top of my head, that was like the one instant solution to this is to like change her piece of paid gear and increase her chance of counter. So she can actually, use all that SC that she has in her kit locked away behind all these counter abilities. Like, yeah, let's let some of that stuff actually proc, right? And no, instead they gave her, they added some curse resistance. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. Such a missed opportunity. Oh, man. And it is what it is. So, yeah, if you have any of the Part 2 characters and they're riding a bench, it is what it is. It's preference, right? Obviously, if you're a huge Persona fan, that's not the case, and they can be great heroes. Personally, though, the cat is just awesome. The cat's just awesome. It is, the perfect healer character for somebody like me because I don't run healers. I make my own Frankenstein healer of, other stuff. I would have a character that's a breaker or something like that, and I would have him take healing as well. And that way I'm getting breaking and maybe a buff, and then also some healing support when they're not breaking, right? And then concentrate everything else on damage and whatever. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's enough healing to carry you if you're doing a lot of damage and you're proud forcing anyway, right? But other times you do need a straight up dedicated healer there. The healer's going to have to put in serious work and resurrect everybody and play the invincible role for a second and then bring everybody back. They have given us fights like that. So it is what it is. But for me, Morgana, I think that's the character you can really just do the most with here. It's got enough he, she, it's a cat. It's supposed to be some sort of spirit of humanity, actually. Of course it's a cat. But really, I think Morgana is kind of like a whale's friend, too, because if you have a large arc collection and you can teach a bunch of abilities, just Morgana can take advantage of a ton of shit. Now, a lot of characters can in this game, like that's the whole point, everybody can learn everything, but Morgana is just kind of special, really. You can get the healing out of Morgana, but then Morgana also has great crit and great damage built in, and a bunch of super like concentrated earth damage abilities. And like I said, if you have the right arcs and you put name giving, you know, which of course is a limited arc from a collab of past, right? But just like name giving alone, now Morgana not only is healing and doing tons of damage, like up there with some of the, you know, high damage dealers of this game right now, but Morgana can also, you know, give your other heroes, 10% to all their stats at the same time, which doesn't sound that great, but that goes up to like 15 or 20% to all your stats if you equip Morgana with the arc that augments that ability, if you have that arc, obviously, which is a limited arc from a collab of past, right? But that right there turns Morgana into a decent buffer on top of being a healer and all the damage that Morgana's doing, right? And obviously Morgana can bring weaken or just little things that you need for your team to beat whatever boss or whatever fight you're doing, right? And I just think that's cool, because now when I go through my damage heroes and I dump all my kits and everything, if it's just not enough, I can always tap on my healer, and instead of just getting healer out of that healer, now I can get a ton of damage, especially if it's an earth fight, right? And Morgana also has a way to get MP back. I think that's nice. Now, in a perfect world, I think Morgana would use its damn slingshot and would be doing just like range damage, and that would make it easier to cast with Morgana, right? Because casters are going to have an advantage in Last Cloudia from having a ranged attack, because they're not trying to chase somebody and hit them with a sword, right? And that way, when you tell Morgana to cast something, you have to run with Morgana first, and then from that run you have to go into, okay, now do this, because if auto kicks on just for a second and Morgana wants to punch something and you tell Morgana to cast a spell, Morgana's gonna say, okay, as soon as I'm done with this punch, and hold on, you're gonna have to wait because I'm chasing the enemy. So it just becomes a pain in the ass, because you think you're gonna get a heal off, you switch over to another character to do something, and you realize, oh, my heal's not going off, Morgana's chasing the enemy. And this is just something that happens with any of these heroes that don't have a ranged attack, because a hero with a ranged attack, you can tell it to heal, and same thing will happen, okay, after I finish this attack, but it's a ranged attack, so you don't have to chase anybody. So yeah, you're gonna wait an extra half a second for that spell to go off, because that hero has to finish her ranged attack. But as soon as she shoots her bow or throws her rock or whatever the hell she's doing, she's just going to go right into casting the spell that you asked her to without chasing anybody. So in my opinion, that it's just kind of funny, because like Morgana has a slingshot. The paid item for Morgana is actually, one of them's a slingshot, and she uses the slingshot. It uses the slingshot in the S2, I believe, like in that animation somewhere, you see Morgana use a sword and then a slingshot comes out for just a second. Well, I don't know, if they would have just given Morgana like a ranged slingshot attack, like I said, it would have probably made the character a little bit easier to use as an actual healer and support, right? But other than that, I just think Morgana, totally awesome, right? And of course, a lot of people are going to like Joker, so leave me a comment, let me know how you feel. Right, we have, what? How many days do we have left on the event? 4 days. 4 days, folks. I was actually thinking, man, if I get ahead, I can go into Trials of the Summoned Beast and just, try to cap out some more of these rings that I have. But I don't even think that's going to happen, though, right? It really looks like I have about 600 shards to grind for each of these heroes. Or at least 200 so I can get those abilities unlocked that are given the 1%. What do they call them? I always, man, they keep adding this and they keep adding that. You guys all know what I'm talking about. It's gonna drive me nuts. Oh, that's right, and this guy. Ward. God damn it, ward abilities. Yes, wards. So obviously we have a hero here. I accidentally left this guy in like the farming level. So we have 1,000 shards for Goroth here that we're never gonna use. Might as well do that though. Why not? I've always thought Goroth was pretty cool. Pretty cool. I do see people rocking him from time to time with his cleaver. Hey, if you're into zombies, it's a pretty cool character, right? Thing is, I got to get him to level 100 so I can use these. All units, hit points +1. That is nice, and that is something that just applies to literally all units. So things like that. This was one of the first wards I peeped out and was like, oh shit. Of course, they gave this character a good ward, so it's a good reason to take this guy to level 100. I'm definitely working on it. I need to work on his level a little bit more, right? So, but I could probably, for the Conquer levels, I'm probably going to have to go through here and redo all this because this is why this guy is at 1,000, because he's in here, right? I've just been adding new heroes along the way as I go. But right now, I think there's a couple heroes I'm just playing catch up with, and I just need to get them to level 100. I have the shards for them. I think there's another wave of heroes I want to shuffle in here, and then maybe the new heroes. Because, 600 shards for each of them, or at least 200 for each of them. 200 is doable, sure. 6 is going to be a little bit more difficult, and I don't know if I'm going to have time for all that. So I'm thinking I'll at least, if you don't have them at level 100 right now, it's like you're going to be waiting on that level 100 anyway to spend the 200 shards on the ward. So it just kind of is what it is, and mine are nowhere near level 100. So, even if I miss some of this grind for their shards, I can obviously always just put them in these Conquer levels to run for shards while I work on leveling them up anyway. So not too worried about it, right? But anybody that has their Conquer tab full, like if you have heroes in here that you're working on, you're getting shards for them, and this is all full, and you don't want to interrupt that, and you want to work on these new heroes that we just got for this collab, those are the levels to run in the event, obviously, and just run the shit out of them until you get all the shards that you need. Make sure to budget the extra 200 that you're going to want for the ward. And these characters do have good wards. No surprise there. Collab heroes that are limited AF came with good wards. Wow, shocking. So, yeah, best of luck to everybody. And we're going to ride this thing out. 4 days left. Get your grind on, and I look forward to seeing what new heroes they bring. Later, everybody.